Two shops looked at the same truck and both got it wrong, and the part everyone overlooked costs less than an oil change. On May 19, 2026, a Silverado came into my bay with a folder. Not a printout, a folder. Two estimates stapled from two different shops, 6 months apart, for the same set of symptoms. Rough idle, fading power on hills, a check engine light that wouldn't quit. Shop 1 said mass airflow sensor, $310. The truck got worse. Shop 2 said throttle body, plus an idle relearn, $260. The truck got worse again. By the time it got to me, the owner wasn't looking for a third opinion. He was looking for someone to tell him the truck was just done. It wasn't done. Both shops had been staring at a real problem and treating the wrong half of it. The strange part wasn't that both shops missed it. The strange part was that both estimates actually made sense. Every symptom pointed toward exactly the parts they replaced. A lean code really can mean a failing sensor. A rough idle really can mean a tired throttle body. That's what makes this mistake so expensive. Not that the technicians were careless, but that the computer was telling the truth, just not the whole truth. And when the data is technically accurate but incomplete, even experienced people end up fixing a component that was never broken in the first place. Once I show you what they were actually missing, you'll understand why this exact mistake happens in driveways and dealerships every single day on vehicles that have nothing else in common. The engine's other job. Here's the part nobody walks you through. Your engine doesn't have one job, it has two. Everyone knows the first one. Air goes in, mixes with fuel, burns. That's the half with the big plastic box, the paper filter, the part every quick lube guy holds up to the light and says, yeah, you need this. But for every breath an engine takes in, it also has to let something out. Not through the tailpipe, from somewhere most owners have never been told to look. Inside the engine, every time a piston fires, a little bit of pressure and unburned gas slips past the rings and down into the crankcase, the lower part of the engine where the oil sits. Mechanics call this blow-by. And here's the thing, it happens in every engine ever built. New ones, tired ones. It's not damage, it's physics. But it means pressure is constantly building down there, and that pressure has to go somewhere, or it pushes oil out through every gasket and seal it can find. So there's a second system, one most drivers never hear named out loud, the crankcase ventilation system. Its job is to bleed that pressure off safely and route the leftover vapor back into the engine to be burned instead of vented into the air. Depending on the vehicle, that system runs through a small valve, a vent filter, or both, usually tucked on top of the valve cover or buried on a hose. You'd never notice unless someone pointed a flashlight at it. That's the engine's exhale. And it is one of the most commonly overlooked maintenance items I see in this shop. It's not just trucks. I've seen this exact chain reaction on half-ton trucks that tow every weekend, with the symptom showing up as power loss right when the engine is under the most load. I've seen it on commuter sedans that never leave city traffic, where the giveaway was a rough idle at every red light and nothing else. I've even seen it on SUVs that never threw a single warning light. No check engine lamp, no code, nothing, until the owner noticed fuel economy had quietly dropped for no reason they could explain. Different vehicles, different engines, same root cause, showing up as different symptoms because every manufacturer's computer reacts to that disrupted airflow a little differently depending on how aggressively it corrects fuel trim and how sensitive its idle control strategy is. That's exactly why this gets misdiagnosed across so many makes and models instead of just one. There's no single fingerprint to recognize, only a pattern underneath several different ones. Why both shops got it wrong. This is exactly where both of those shops went wrong on that Silverado. When the crankcase side starts to clog or fail, it doesn't just affect the crankcase itself, it throws off the air the engine's computer is measuring to set the fuel mixture, because that ventilation path isn't sealed away from the intake side, it's part of it. So the idle starts to hunt. Power fades, especially climbing hills. The computer sees the airflow numbers go sideways and throws a code. Lean condition, idle control fault, airflow performance. Every one of those codes is real. None of them tells you what. Think of a smoke alarm. It tells you there's smoke. It doesn't tell you whether that smoke came from burnt toast, a faulty wire, or a real fire starting in the wall. Engine codes work exactly the same way. They report what the computer can actually measure. Voltage, airflow, fuel trim, not the event that started the chain reaction. A lean code is the smoke alarm going off. It's accurate. It's also not the fire. And this is the uncomfortable part, the part I wish more shops said out loud. A scan tool reads symptoms, not causes. When a code says lean, it doesn't know if that's a $300 sensor or a $20 filter letting unmetered air sneak past it. So a shop chases the part the code is officially attached to, replaces the sensor, the throttle body, runs the relearn, and sometimes that genuinely fixes it. But sometimes the real fault is one step upstream, in a system that's never on the maintenance sticker, never on the inspection checklist, and never gets checked first because most diagnostic procedures don't direct technicians to inspect it before anything else. I want to be fair to those two shops because I'm not telling you this to drag anyone. A lot of good technicians have never been taught to check the pressure relief system before throwing parts at a lean code because most training and most shop software walk you straight from code to part. It's not laziness. It's a gap in how the diagnosis is structured industry-wide. What actually fixed it? Here's what actually happened on that truck. I pulled the crankcase vent filter before touching anything else. It was black, saturated, completely restricted. I checked the hoses for cracking, replaced the filter, cleared the codes, and let it idle through a relearn. The idle settled in under 5 minutes. The lean code didn't come back. Total parts cost under $25. The honest caveats. But here's the honest caveat because I'm not going to pretend this is always that clean. On some vehicles, certain BMWs and German platforms especially, the crankcase ventilation system isn't a cheap standalone filter. It's built directly into the valve cover as one sealed unit. And when it fails, you're not buying a $20 part, you're buying an entire valve cover assembly, sometimes with several hours of labor to reach it. That's a real $800 to $1,400 repair, and no amount of optimism changes that. The fix is the same idea. The bill is not. Know which kind of system you actually have before you assume this is a weekend fix. There's a second honest caveat too, and it matters just as much. Clearing this doesn't always end the story. If a crankcase filter is clogging fast, repeatedly, in just a few thousand miles, that's not the filter's fault. That's a sign the engine is producing more blow-by than it should, which can point to worn piston rings or a tired cylinder on a high-mileage engine. In that case, replacing the filter isn't a cure, it's a test. If the symptoms disappear and stay gone, you're fixed. If they come back fast, you've just learned something true about the engine that no scan tool would have told you, and now you know to look deeper instead of guessing again. How to check this yourself. So how do you actually check this before you let anyone hand you an invoice? With the engine warm and idling, slowly crack the oil filler cap. A healthy system gives you a faint pull or barely anything. If pressure visibly puffs out, if the cap tries to lift on its own, that's a real sign. But treat it as a clue, not a verdict, because crankcase pressure pulses naturally, and a light hand isn't always a reliable gauge on its own. Pair it with a look inside the air filter housing. Oily residue or a damp filter, where it should be bone dry, tells you vapor is finding its way back through a system that isn't venting properly. Two signs pointing the same direction is worth far more than either one alone. If your vehicle has a serviceable filter, this is one of the easiest jobs in the entire engine bay. 15 minutes, basic hand tools, a part that costs less than a tank of gas. If your system is the sealed, built-in kind, at least now you're walking into a shop already knowing what question to ask, instead of nodding along at whatever part name shows up first on the estimate. Why some engines clog faster than others? This is also where your own driving habits quietly decide how often you'll deal with this. Every time you start a cold engine, combustion produces moisture, and that moisture ends up in the crankcase right alongside the blow-by gas. On a drive that's long enough to fully warm up, generally somewhere past 10 to 15 minutes of sustained driving, that moisture boils off and gets carried out through the vent path like it's supposed to. On a short trip, the engine shuts off before that happens, and the moisture just sits there. Do that often enough and you get a thick, creamy buildup under the oil cap, sometimes called milkshake sludge. That sludge doesn't stay put. It travels through the same passages the ventilation system relies on, and it clogs the filter or the valve faster faster than dirt ever would on its own. This is exactly why a car used almost entirely for short errands and school runs will choke this system far sooner than the same engine doing steady highway miles. The highway car gets long enough drives to clean itself out every single time, and the city car never does. Old, overdue oil makes this worse, because oil that's broken down produces more vapor and contributes more sludge-forming residue than fresh oil does. And a cheap aftermarket filter that flows poorly will choke up again within a few thousand miles, even after a proper fix, which means the part you buy actually matters here, not just whether you replaced it. The fix for all of this isn't complicated. Change your oil on schedule, because clean oil produces less of the residue that clogs the system. If most of your driving is short trips, try to combine errands into one longer drive when you can, or take the long way home occasionally. That one extra stretch of sustained driving is what actually clears built-up moisture out. And when you're already under the hood checking your air filter, spend an extra 30 seconds checking this system too, since they sit close enough together that there's no real excuse to skip it. The real lesson, and that's really the whole lesson here, more than any single part number. Two shops looked at this truck, and both treated a symptom like it was the disease, because nobody had ever taught them to ask what the engine was trying to release on the other side of that pressure. The most expensive repair isn't always the part with the highest price tag. Sometimes it's the first wrong diagnosis, and the drivers who save the most money usually aren't the ones who know every part under the hood. They're the ones who know where everyone else forgot to look. If this is the first time anyone's explained the ventilation side of your engine to you, that's worth a like, because that's exactly how this stops being a secret. And if you've ever paid for a part that turned out to be the wrong diagnosis entirely, tell me what it was. Those stories are how the rest of us learn where the real problem was hiding.